All right. Good morning. Good morning, fellow owner operators and owner operators to be. It's Christian with Voyager Nation Super Trucker Podcast. Guys, like, share, subscribe. Put a bunch of content out here, especially for my owner operators who are looking first time owner operators. A bunch of information. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon and get notified when we drop videos and be the first to know. All right, my people. So here we go. It is Tuesday. So hopefully everybody, Tuesday, 9 a.m. So hopefully everybody's getting unloaded, started their week, and should have a very productive week. We're going to dive right in. So what we do is actually collect information from across our social media platforms, link them all together, and answer them every morning, 9 a.m. So here we go. We're going to jump right in. All right. How do you deal with unpredictable brokers? So this is probably coming from a place where, man, a lot of brokers are pretty shady that are out there, not getting, they have credit in the morning and then they don't in the afternoon. Predatory raycons where sometimes now you're getting underpayments from shit that was like months and months ago, and all of a sudden you got to prove, that you were tracking or whatever case may be. So it is important to build relationships for sure, but not to get too deep into that. We don't do that. We want to make sure that we preserve our number one customer, uh, the benefits of the owner operator as to what they receive here, right? So it's okay to work with brokers on the one-off because usually you're going to get really good rates with guys that happen to be in situations on a canceled load. Something that was pressing on that load allows you to get more money, so you never want that ability to do so to be taken away from you. You just got to be diligent and make sure you're doing and you're doing what you need to do. So for example, you know uh call out right away shady behavior immediately. And how do you get to know that? Because we do also have that due diligence to make sure that something's not, that it's not going to be, it could be that something that's double brokered. You can tell right away. Eliminate your problems that you have. For example, we don't touch TQL. We don't work with Landstar. Why? Because the problems tend to be the same over and over with individuals like that. And when you get those problems, the real pain for us is if our owner operator, at first the load gets canceled, let's say, first time, second time, third time, at some point he's blaming us, right? And it's the broker. So we got to be able to cut the broker off who behaves in, who has this erratic behavior, because at the end of the day, I'm not willing to lose an owner operator because of their habits. So that's number one for us. So that's how we handle that. Documentation protects you. So you have to be paying attention. Everything should be in writing. Everything, any kind of, something may happen and you renegotiate the rate and it's in your favor. So you're getting a little bit more money. My people, you should be definitely asking for the revised rate con. Do not just go take somebody's word, no matter how good people they sound. This is business. Everything should be in writing, and so make sure you have that, and definitely have your backup options ready. So remember, for us, owner operator is always the number one customer. We are here to do good business, so we're not looking to burn anybody, but at the same time, everything is about being proactive. So just a small example, let's say somebody, we show up on site on time, everything is good to go like we normally do, and then all of a sudden the broker says, hey, the customer's quite not ready to load you. It's going to be, I'm waiting on an email when to work you in. All right, obviously the tension will start kicking in and all that good stuff, but you have to be reasonable as that dispatcher and protect the owner operator. You should never sit there for 6-7 hours waiting to get loaded. You could have got a truck order not used and move the hell on. And I say that because, sitting there for 6-7 hours, you should have been working that backup plan the minute detention started, right? So you're just kind of looking around, seeing what alternative you can do, because the worst thing you can do is pretend it's going to be okay, and then it's not, and now the best result is a layover. So these things do happen out there. It's trucking. It's just how you approach and how you handle them. Um, Yeah, and work with top brokers consistently. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that tends to be one of the biggest things, right? Every dispatcher, they they got their connects inside. We got reps at different brokerages and stuff like that. And some guys tend to like others based on relationships and so forth. But the idea is versatility, right? Or rather, a variety. You need, you shouldn't be able to see that your dispatcher is booking like 80-90% with just one broker. That just kind of means you're complacent. Are you even really shopping around? So you should see some variety in that. It should not all come from one broker. That's for sure. All right. Then we got, guys, like, share, subscribe, push it. That helps the algorithm get this content in front of the right people, especially my first time owner operators to be and current owner operators who are looking to improve their situation. We are looking for good partners. So here we go. Give us a call at 863-342-5171, and we go from there. All right. So what's your advice on paying off off truck debt versus expanding? Ooh, this is pretty tricky. Mm, 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 mm. It's okay to spend money. You got to spend money to make money. As long as that truck note is going to be manageable. I wouldn't want to see somebody getting into something that is so high, especially like a lot of people have these predatory lease to purchases and stuff like that. And I mean, I even think there's like they're trying to get a bill out there that's gonna target these predatory lease to purchases that that aren't made in the favor of they're just not made to survive, right? It's just like this vicious cycle of a lease to purchase. We've never really been believers in that. There are a few good programs that are out there that are fairly reasonable. So I talk about it all the time. So for example, the Low Mountains of the world, 1625 a month. That is such a reasonable monthly payment. It is not a weekly payment like others. It is a monthly payment, which makes it go. Now you can plan accordingly. That there's enough cash flow to that, and cash flow to your business that you can actually have a sustainable business. So that is important. I would not buy, me personally, I would not buy something, like we talk about the money makers or that old truck cash just to put a driver in it. And so then I think the only thing I have to worry about is the driver. But at the end of the day, like I still have to build a reserve for the maintenance, and probably a higher reserve the older and the more miles that truck has. I wouldn't necessarily be in a rush to pay off that truck. I would say keep the cash. Cash is king. Um, uh, you know, I would do it that way. So, everybody each his own, but that would be the answer to that one. And make sure that you're not trying to expand, because you just need, you're just trying to increase the revenue to your business, but you don't have enough cash to support that truck. So what I mean by that is you should definitely have a backup cushion if you're trying to be a fleet owner. So if you're putting on that second truck, make sure you're financially ready for that, because that guy's going to need a paycheck. That truck, when it has a breakdown, you got to keep him rolling, so you don't lose that driver. So there's a lot more that comes to that. So you do need that cushion, and it's probably got to be a little bit higher than the one that you have for your own truck, for your the truck that you're driving. All right. All right. How does Voyager help with taxes and accounting? Okay. So pretty simple on this one. We provide clean settlements. Um, and that allows you to be organized. So at the end of the year, we've also given guys reports where we show them, because they're under our fuel cards, everything is nice on an Excel sheet, so they could take that to the tax preparer, and they're nice and organized. It beats showing up with a garbage bag full of receipts of your fuel, and maybe you're missing some and so forth. And so you never want to be in that position. We do collect monthly maintenance, and that is due to DOT, right? That is a regulation. Everybody is doing that. Every carrier actually. But what that also does for you is, if a guy knows that he or she is not that organized, as you're submitting these receipts, you can actually, you're emailing them, you're creating a file right there of all the receipts that you've done along the every month. And now, for as long as you have this truck, so now it's on email form, boom, everything is that your tax preparer can receive that, and now it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot more organized. So there is a benefit to that. Presenting organized information, you're in a much better place. All right. Um, so again, guys, like, share, subscribe. It helps get this content in front of the right people, especially my first-time owner operators and or owner operators who are actually looking to switch carriers. We're here to help out. 863-342-5171. All right. So here we go. What role do relationships with shippers play for owner operators? All right. So, well, here we go. You got to build. So you got to in this relationship. It's really Voyager leverages the relationship fleet wide, right? So you want to be able to work with everybody because that's the product, right? That's the product that and as long as an owner operator has the ability to be flexible, has an ability to take a little bit of risk of going to certain markets that maybe the load ratio isn't that best in your favor, but your dispatcher can hit, your dispatcher knows how to move, your dispatcher has connections. That's the leverage that you're doing. So their skill into hunting, into finding these loads is the real relationship that has to happen. Because just because somebody knows somebody, at a, let's say you've been working with, it doesn't matter, Arrive, who knows, any of these major guys, and you've been working them for a long time, if you're not actually working that relationship always in the favor of the owner operator and always pressing and testing and sometimes saying no to a load and going with a different broker because you want to let them know the only reason you're going there is because there's a benefit to your owner operator to get premium rates. So that's the real relationship. A relationship for your dispatcher should not be where he's just giving this truck under market value just because he wants this big carrier or a big broker under his portfolio. So that is not a relationship that works. It's got to be this mutual balance, a good business practice relationship. And so that is, networking. It takes a minute to develop that, but seasoned individuals already have go-to people. They get phone calls, and they're getting phone calls with proper, with proper offers. You know what I mean? So it takes that, and I think it takes some time to do that. It takes consistency. It takes the owner operator showing up on time. It takes building that rapport as well. So it's not a one-way street. It also shows that when our guys get there on time, get there safely, no issues. That's the leverage as well that allows us to charge, ask for those premium rates because we show up in that way. So that's the key to that as well. It's a two-way street. Dispatcher has to do their part for sure, but so does the owner operator. So it's kind of that balance. All right. All right. So how do you teach drivers to avoid debt traps? Well, we tell you cash is king. So exactly that. Even when we're meeting people and they're looking to onboard and they're trying to kick off their trucking business and buy their first truck, should I buy cash or not? I say you don't. There's plenty of it's okay to have that truck payment. Don't be scared of it as long as it's manageable and reasonable. So you have to do your homework. You have to understand your purchasing power, and don't let that get out of control. That is one of the biggest things, because if you deplete your cash, now you're in panic mode, and that's when bad or poor decision making happens. All right. So here we go. Pardon me, guys. 1 second here. All right. Um, how do you save for breakdowns and upgrades? Yeah, for sure. So that's another major portion of it, right? Guys should be putting away as soon as your business, grand opening, as soon as you're taking your first load. You have to be able to start putting away something for that reserve, and hopefully you started with something in there already. And then that way that goes piling up. Should something happen, you're not going to fall into this debt trap where now your truck is sitting somewhere collecting storage. And not only that, you're trying to get it repaired, and you're not making any money, and it's spiraling out of control real fast. So you don't want to be in that position. I mean, I've seen guys end up out of state on a breakdown, $10,000, and it's over, right? So, but again, how did he get to $10,000? Was preventive maintenance being done on this truck? Was were they paying attention to the small things, or did all of that just start to really pile up until it just became a little bit too? It just became too much, and now it comes to a screeching halt, right? So here we go, guys. You got to pay attention to that. You know, uh, run smarter. You got to be able to run smarter, and when we talk about that is when those rates are in your favor, that is the time to be out there. That is the time to be capitalizing on that situation, so that you can make as much that you can make as much money as possible, especially in those markets, because that's what you're doing. We talk about this all the time. You're preparing for those good times. So now in that market, you ran a little bit harder. So now what happened is you built that cushion, so that either a there's your cushion is bigger, and or now is the time to get those tires, get all that preventive maintenance out of the way. So you're doing a 34, do something on the truck. I'm sure it needs a little bit of love, and a lot of guys that I have seen that have been successful are exactly doing that. They're always doing something to the truck, as minimal as it may sound, but they're always doing preventive maintenance, and they are never really breaking down in that way, because they're paying attention. So so remember, guys, you want to be able to pay attention to that. Cash is king. That's how you resolve problems. And here you go. I got a comment. Any good or bad examples? And I missed it, man. I was yapping. So on what part? Let me know. All right. So another big one is always never finance anything that doesn't generate the revenue, or really it's beyond the income. Like, so here's what happens. Actually, right now we have I'm still waiting on it. I'm waiting on an individual. The leasing company wants to actually see every part. The leasing company actually wants to see. Well, here's a bad example of it. They want to see a business plan, or they want to see what type of numbers and this and that. All right. So at the end of the day, the finance company is also trying to see what kind of individuals is in front of them. Right. And so now they got to spell it out on paper. I've seen people trying to get a 3,000, 20 to $2,500 weekly payment on a new truck and say, hey, this truck is maintenance free. But $2,500 a week is a hell of a lot of money for anybody to have some sustainability, because it is based on the market, right? Especially knowing what else is out there, educating yourself on what other type of trucks are out there, right? When and then as we were talking, we actually put it to attention to them, like, hey, you can actually get the same type of truck, brand new, 0 miles out the box, for, let's say, 3,500 a month. So now you're talking 2,500 a week versus 3,500 a month. That is a major difference. That will make or break your business, like, hands down, right? And what's crazy about this is that that's not the first rodeo. They've actually been in exactly the same position, not once, not twice, and now like, now going for thirds. Like, this is what I'm saying. It has to break at some point. You got to be able to write this down, and you got to be able to digest it and learn from certain mistakes, guys. I don't know if that bill is going to pass or anything like that, but that predatory lending, or the predatory leasing, it falls like right under there. Like, yeah, it's a trap as well, but people are lining up. So there's got to be something said about that too. So like, why are people lining up for something that's so egregious and that? And I get it. We all want to do a little bit more. We want an opportunity to improve our situations. But we also have to work on, like, our personal financing, right? It's just kind of what this is talking about. We got to make sure we position ourselves to be able to qualify for a $5,000 down payment and a 1,600 monthly payment. We have to position ourselves for that. So if you're out there as a company driver, right, you can actually, you do have an opportunity to do so. So position yourself accordingly, plan accordingly, so that way you're not falling into these predatory traps. It takes a little bit of patience to get there. How fast you control that. But there you go. That was an extremely bad situation where guys lost the truck, even though it was a brand new truck. Had to go back. It was just not sustainable. So there you go. Yeah. All right. So now we talk about, like, what does it take to stay in the industry long term? And I believe it's going to be good business decision making on every single level, every single day. Um, so number one, your adaptability to the market, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where you like to go, where you don't like to go. I mean, that's cool, that's a preference, but you have to be adaptable for your business to stay moving and stay consistent. That is the only thing that'll keep you alive. It's going to be cash flow. uh, I've seen people park their trucks until better times because the trucks were paid. But what happens is, what people aren't, in theory, sounds like a good idea. But what happens is you're completely stopping the cash flow to your business, right? So whatever you do have in reserves starts to get depleted. So I had a guy who came back to me after 8 months, but guess what happened? In those 8 months, he's coming back because he depleted that cushion. So now he's got zero. He's coming from a negative balance. So now he's negative balance. Truck hasn't moved in 8 months. So now the truck needs a little bit of love. There's no money for the maintenance on the truck because he's between a rock and a hard place. What do you do? Pay the mortgage or buy a few tires? What do you do? Um, so you don't want to put yourself in that position, and then all of a sudden he wants that rebound to go a lot faster than it's going, and now panic mode sets in, and it just becomes like this recipe for disaster. I've seen that time and time again. So adaptability, keep the truck moving, keep the cash flow alive. That is the name of the game. All right, guys. Number two on that, for that long-term sustainability, is maintenance discipline. Like, that is a major, major part of the operation. And remember, at the end of the day, you can keep making money as long as there's a truck that works, and that is sound, and that is reliable, right? That is your bread and butter. That should be taken care of first, because without that, there's nothing. uh, However we want to reprioritize that list, without the truck, the show's over, right? I've seen people park a truck to become company drivers. That I never understood that either. Like, I just think you know, I just think you should just adapt a little bit better and continue running your truck. You're gonna end up in a better position than running for somebody else. So you see a little bit of everything in this industry, guys. What we're doing is just sharing some of the stories and some of the things that we have seen come across, so that you don't fall victim to it. Hopefully, some people listen, some people don't, but this is a good channel that gives information in that regard. So take it with a grain of salt. Make your own decision, but educate yourself for sure. Guys, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you get notified when we drop videos. Smash that like button. It helps the algorithm get this content in front of the right people. All right. Uh, Financial planning is another major key component to this. You do have, and it's not just future planning, it's also understanding where your money is going, right? So once you start tracking that, you're going to see how much you're spending on maintenance. Um, you know, how much you're spending on fuel, how much is parking, how much is insurance. All of these things should be tracked on a weekly basis, right? Because all of a sudden, if you're spending way too much on that and trying to keep this truck alive just because there's no payment, but you're spending, 15, $20,000 on repairs every single year, and just because it's spread out throughout the year, um, it's time to re-up. It's time to get into something new, to improve your business, because you could have spent exactly that amount of money on a newer truck, and you wouldn't have had the breakdown and the lost revenue. So if your truck is down for 2 weeks because they're waiting on some kind of part or whatever, and this happens to you, 2, 3, 3 weeks out of the year, let's say, right off the bat, you got $21,000 right there lost in revenue, plus whatever it's going to cost you to fix this truck. So you're already upside down. It's time to make a change. All right, so keep all of that into consideration, and just stay the course. Remember, the number one thing is take care of that truck, because that is your office, that is the business, that's the heart of it all. Um, all right, so let me see. Give me 1 second here, my people, guys. Make sure you like, share. Uh, Hold on 1 second here. Uh, all right, so here we go. Let me see. All right. How do you train new ops to negotiate loads? All right. So uh, you do and you don't. You pretty much don't. You're leveraging. So here at Voyager, you're actually leveraging the ability of your dispatcher to help you run your business and scale it and get to the next level. All right. So just to kind of give you an example, in the last just couple months, new people who have onboarded, uh, you know. What happens is the following. Uh, they're new to the game, first time owner operators, maybe even some of them are a little seasoned, but the story's the same. They want to be actively involved in selecting the loads, but what's going to happen is too many cooks in the kitchen, and all of a sudden your end product isn't as good as it can be, because not everybody, because it's just we're confusing all this movement for progress. So we've had a few people who have onboarded that once they have the ability to let go and trust that dispatcher, their settlement week after week improved substantially. Where it takes some effort to stay out of the way. I get it. It is your business. It is your company. It is your truck. But that's why you have to do what's good for your truck, what's good for your business. And so in this case, actually, people found that involving themselves way too much in the load selection is actually hurting your business rather than actually improving it. Now, that is not just advice for everybody, because what also matters, that will make it matter, is that these guys got top of the line dispatchers. So if you're looking for a good dispatcher, definitely give us a call, 863-342-5171. You have to be able to, that's the most important part to this. That is the second important part to this equation. Your dispatcher's got to be able to hit. They got to be able to know what they're doing. They have to be able to know what the goal is. They have to have certain disciplines in order to hit. But on your end, you got to be able to let go of that piece so that they can do their job and do it effectively, right? Because you can't be everywhere at once. So that is one of the biggest things that although you're teaching somebody to negotiate a load, there are so much things that go on into selecting that load that happen behind the scenes, that sometimes owner operators don't know, especially my guys that just bought their first truck. It's not that they don't know because they haven't been in the industry long enough. It's just that they're, as a company driver, you didn't have to worry about certain things because it didn't pertain to you. So, you can't actually worry about things that don't pertain to you. So I see that happen a lot, where guys who on board, we go through this little growth spurt, or or getting to know each other, right? That learning curve of how they operate and what they do. And that is one of the biggest things that can happen, is people have to let go, but you got to let go to the right people. You got to be able to trust your dispatcher. They got to be able to know how to hit. They have a track record, and usually what you should be doing is just like we do in orientation. You're coming up with the business plan. You're coming up with the goals. You're getting to know all of these things up front, so that way you make the most money as possible. And once you do, your situation improves. All right. Right. So we're leading to the next one. What is your view on leasing trucks versus owning them right? Mm. Again, our view is, well, at least my view is going to be, keep the cash. Leasing has some flexibility, maybe a little bit of a higher cost, but I want to be able to stay. I need liquid, right? So here are some small examples of how we've helped individuals kind of see it a little bit different, right? So let's say a guy's got, you know, $10,000 to get the party started, right? So that's what he's got to get his business up off the ground and get himself into becoming an owner operator. All right, so here we go. Now, what this guy can do is either go to he had the chance to go to Select Trucks in Tampa, throw down the 10. They were going to do a down payment match. I think it was like 3,500 at the time. So in total would be 1350, and then that's it. My man is tapped out. All right. Second option, he can go to Lone Mountain. At the time, it was like $3,500 down, and he would have had a truck for 1,700 bucks a month. All right. So which one of those two is better? Even I would, you know, even though the sticker price at Arrow is cheaper on that truck, it puts him in such a difficult position financially as a business owner that the likelihood of his survival is like it's too dependent on nothing going wrong. You're almost like I get it. You needed a bit of luck, but at the same time, you got to be able to see what position you're going to be in, right? So just because the sticker price looked a little bit more attractive, what's your interest rate? What are you shelling out every single month? Plus, you tap out your bank account completely; it's gone, right? So in the other situation, 3,500 down, he's still got $6,000. So now he's got an ability to do a little bit more, and then even that, right? Now it came to the question about the plate. All right. A plate is typically what, 1,700 bucks, 2,000, somewhere there. Why deplete your resources if the carrier is offering you a plate and it's pay as you go, just like we do? You go through it in the first 10 weeks that you're here and you pay it off. But what that does is, because this is a new truck to him, he's keeping that cash in the bank. In the event that something happens, it becomes an easier repair. Um, I have even seen where, like, sometimes where our guys have waited on a warranty, but the warranty takes too long. So what's another option? Go through the warranty, but you get reimbursed. So the guy was able to pay for the repair cash, then he allowed the warranty to go through the processes, and then he was reimbursed for that. But the ability to pay for it cash means he's on the road that much quicker. You got to be able to hit the road. You got to be able to keep the truck moving. That is what's king. And so, guys, like, I would say keep the cash for sure. Um, so we got owning equity but higher risk. So a lot of guys that, like, I don't know, man, I don't know if that's equity or not. So it just depends on, maybe that's another debate. So I've had people who buy a truck and it's paid out completely. It's a money maker. They throw money into it, to working on it, and every time they put a little bit of chrome on it, or every time they fix something, in their mind it's worth a little bit more, it's worth a little bit more, it's worth a little bit more. But unfortunately, that is not liquid. You cannot, you don't have an ATM card to extract that cash and actually fix some problems. So what my people would get caught up is in this vicious cycle where, unfortunately, we had a guy who actually took, I believe it was a '06 it was a 2006. He did everything. That thing was brand new, very impressive. Anybody looking at that truck would be like, man, this thing is mint. It's complete rebuilt, everything on that. And then finally takes the load, breaks down under the very first load with a transmission issue, with $10,000 to repair that. So the issue with that is he got caught up in this money pit of just like a little bit more and he'll get there, a little bit more and he'll get there. I've come too far. I've come too far. And like, at this point is the point of no return, but it just becomes this money pit. And so, guys, what I'm asking is that you pay attention so you don't get caught up in that from the very beginning. Don't subscribe to that. There are options out there. Get the best truck that you can afford, but it's got to be a sound, reliable equipment so that you can have success. All right. And obviously all of this depends on your financial goals. I've also seen, this guy from, where was he from, man? I want to say, I want to say like not Jacksonville. He wasn't way out there. Maybe Melbourne or something like that. So this guy ran into some money, I guess inheritance or something like that. And he's like, excellent, I'm gonna go buy a truck cash, like 80 something $1,000 cash. I wouldn't do that, man. Like, I just don't know. Like, put it up in the comments, guys. Would you do that? I mean, I got 11 people in the chat there. Make sure you give me that thumbs up, smash that. But what would you do? Would you pay it cash or would you not? Let me know, guys. What would you guys do? What's your opinion? Uh, and the reason I say that is because I wouldn't take the whole thing and just completely pay it off cash, because then you're back to zero, right? You need operating costs, you need that cushion, you need that peace of mind in order to know that this truck is going to keep ticking. As you know, and I actually think this guy actually wanted to drop all of that on a new truck and then still have a payment. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Was that a good plan for my guy? Would you do exactly the same thing, or would you do it differently? All right. So I guess you know my stance. I'm a believer. Keep cash. Cash is king. You fix a lot more problems with cash. All right. But at the end of the day, we support either way. As long as the math is right, as long as a guy can sustain and can survive and can do good business for himself, we're willing to play ball. It's just a matter of the consistency in what we control, which is, moving the truck, the relationship between you and your dispatcher, in order to generate enough revenue so that your business is thriving. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, my people. All right. So so we talk about, so here we go. You always talk about hustle. What if the hustle just isn't enough anymore? Guys, like this, at the end of the day, it's about endurance, right? It's about endurance, and it's about making the best decisions possible when when the times are good. And that is what's preparing you for those rainy, dark days that are coming. Because again, guys, there is no surprise that trucking is a volatile business. Some people say this is like that the trucking recession, and it's just been longer than usual. But again, it's who's surviving is the people that are making that made the right choices in those good times, that have that discipline, that are always, have a formula, have a plan, and stick to the plan. So the hustle is that, the hustle is going to improve your likelihood of surviving for sure. Because if you're disciplined to the maintenance, right? You're Good morning. If you're disciplined to always putting away into the savings, you're good to go on that. Create that cushion. Having financial literacy, having financial discipline. Don't spend more than you make. That's the number one rule, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a company driver, owner, operator, pushing carts at Publix. Nothing matters. Stick to the rule, right? Spend less than you make. That has to happen in order for you to thrive. So paying attention to that, the hustle is that. Again, this business does come with survival of the fittest. Like it is that. Unfortunately, companies do fold. Unfortunately, people may make bad decisions. But not doing making good choices uh, can prevent you from falling faster. You know what I mean? So if the guy is getting into that predatory lease, the problem is that's what's gonna that might just be what buries him a little bit later on, right? Was actually 2,500, $3,000 a week reasonable in a good market? It sounds reasonable. You kind of convince yourself, but what about in a little bit tougher times? How reasonable is it now? You see what I'm saying? So here we go. We do have a comment. Cash truck is perfect. You don't have to pay interest for lenders. Right. I agree. I mean, that's a definitely valid point. Um, is just what cash truck I'm buying. How much cash do I have and what can I buy? Because if this truck is a money maker and it's not sound and it's, a million and plus miles, it's on a second overhaul and it spends more time in the shop, interest sounds cheaper at this point. So that's what I'm saying. It's the truck selection and the overall picture of it. So although it's a very good comment, very reasonable, I agree. But at the same time, is it's going to depend how much cash I have and what I can actually buy. All right. Why are so many drivers scared to become owner operators? I would say buy, don't lease. Buying says I'm 100%, I'm in 100%, and leasing gets let me give. So hold up. Buy, don't lease. Buying says I'm in 100%, and leasing says let me give it a shot playing owner operator. Um, yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that with that walkaway lease. I can see that, David, a little bit when guys are getting into those walkaway leases, no money down, and then that's your biggest plan, right? Plan B is always that. Um, but there are ones that are credit based. I have seen people be successful, but they have skin in the game. So I'm kind of in the middle, David. You got to be able to be into those programs that you got skin in the game. They're reasonable. You can move the truck wherever you want. You're not held hostage to that carrier. You're not held hostage to their freight. As an owner operator, you can make some choices. You can make some movement, but you definitely have skin in the game. They come repo that shit is going to hit your credit. They so somewhere in that middle, I think there is some good opportunity. Do you have local work in the Jacksonville area? Yeah, 863-342-5171. Ask for Nina. You're good to go, my man. 863-342-5171. Ask for Nina. Mike says cash truck is great if you have savings. What if you buy a cash and it leaves you zero in your account? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not necessarily, even if you have some interest on that loan, right? What if you pay it quicker? If that's your flavor, you have that opportunity to do that if you wanted to. Not necessarily would it be mine. Yeah, and I agree. So Lone Mountain is definitely a lease, no balloon payment at the end. So I kind of think what David's talking about is what I have seen. Guys get into these predatory leases, no credit check, no money, no any of that. And it comes down to this question right here: why are some guys so scared to become owner operators? And it's the fear of failure. But you gotta bet on your work ethic. You have to bet on your ability. You have to bet on what you're bringing to your endurance, on what you're bringing to the table, right? Because as long as you're out there running, you're gonna generate that cash flow, and so smart decision is gonna allow you to do that. They do have that money management worries where what makes people fearful is, okay, you buy a truck, and then all of a sudden, you are in complete control of the paycheck. And what I mean by that is, uh, you know you're no longer in the bucket of, all right, you went to work for 40 hours, and direct deposit hits. All you had to really do is make sure you showed up and just kind of do your job. This, if you don't show up, if things happen, there is no direct deposit. You are in control of it all. And now the fear of, what if the market does this? What if the market goes up, or rather comes down? How do I get that cash flow? How much am I going to be paid? That can be overwhelming for a lot of guys, and I think that is one of the biggest things that they don't make that jump. That is why they get into those predatory leases, David, because they want some kind of assurance that if the market is going down, they can eject and fucking go be a company driver again. But again, like, those programs are not built for you to just be able to do that at free will. It will cost you at the end of the day. It's in the fine print, right? They lure you in with, yeah, it's a walk away lease, don't worry about it. But I agree, you got to be in at 100% in order for it to work. And taking too much advice from too many people, I think this industry, social media especially, gets saturated. A lot of guys putting up their negative failure stories and shit like that. But one of the things is, you got to be able to pay attention to what's real and what's not. All right. And what actually are you showing up to do? What you're looking to accomplish? What is your goal? Sticking to your personal goal and just writing it out. Because just as a lot of people are failing, there are a lot of people being successful in trucking and making some money, right? As you're doing your research, be careful of that gossip that's out there. Just because that is their story, it does not mean that that has to be your story. Okay. So you have to pay attention to that. I think lack of knowledge of really understanding how it works. So let me kind of share a couple things here. We've had a few people on board, and then all of a sudden they're at the dealer, and some of these dealers, what they'll do is they'll actually offer, they'll start up their authorities for them. Well, not the actual dealer, but they have like a little side gig with somebody who offers them insurance and all of that. And then all of a sudden they convince them into buying too much insurance. And all of a sudden this guy got liability insurance and not really knowing what happened, and paying way too much when his whole plan was to lease on with a carrier. It just doesn't know enough, hasn't done it yet, right? It's not that it's something so complicated, it's out of this world. The guy's just never been in that position. My man's excited. He's looking to get started. He just wants to do the right things. He's just trusting everybody that's willing to talk to him. And then all of a sudden he's in a bad spot. He spent some money that he shouldn't have. Even that, like I tell guys all the time, like, right, if you are buying that truck from a dealer, do not buy temporary 30-day insurance. You are wasting your money. Bullshit. Don't do that. For that, you just open your policy and that's it. There's no need to do that. Typically, why does that happen? The guy wants to roll metal. The guy's excited about the truck. You want to take it home right now. Okay. It took the same amount of time to bond your regular insurance policy as it did to buy that bullshit $500 30-day expiration insurance. So don't give up money. You have to be smarter than that. Just because you're excited, don't waste money that way. All right. And so just that lack of knowledge. And then a lot of guys, and that transpires not only from the insurances when you're leasing on to someone. You don't really know the market and the market trends. As a company driver, you were just simply used to pay per mile. So the more you ran, the more you make. And now your strategy has to change a little bit, because let's say you're no longer going to be rate per mile, but now you're on a percentage base. So now you got to view things a little bit different, because you might do a straight through that, that your dispatcher was able to find friggin' 2,000, that 1,500 on a straight through, and now that adds to the pot for the whole week. So your approach would have to be a little bit different. And again, it takes time to get to know that. So you have to be able to align yourself with good people. That's exactly what we do here. Not good, knowledgeable, professional people. So 863-342-5171. Give us a call. We're actually always looking for good business partners, and for first-time owner operators. We got tons of information for you. Just give us a call and or visit our Super Trucker podcast. Make sure you subscribe. It helps. It will notify you when we drop videos. And also smash that like button, guys. It helps the algorithm get this content in front of the right people. All right. And then the other one, it would be thinking carriers are all the same. I think that happens. I think you have to know. I think it's not just that. I don't think all carriers are the same. So here, all carriers are in the same market. We are all in the same pond, right? That's what's going to happen. So it's how these get. So you don't control the rates. You don't control the market trends. What you do control is going to be who you link up with, their knowledge of the industry, their processes and procedures in order to keep you protected so that you can thrive. For example, you can, my man right here, calling on the local, right? Cool, call. But I also, Florida is a certain market. Local money is local money. So, not one carrier is offering you, $5,000 take home. You'd have a line from there to Miami. You have to understand real expectations. And so when 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 a carrier is offering you something too good that sounds to be true, you got to check and do your homework, right? You got to be able to see what these guys are offering you. You got a lot of places that'll give you, they don't give you the original rate confirmation. They don't they'll nickel and dime you on your settlement sheet. All of that stuff that comes with it, you just got to align yourself with a clean cut professional carrier. That's what we do. And yeah, they're not all created equal. I think that is one thing that you control. You don't control the market, but you do control where you move your truck to. So picking the right carrier is definitely a controllable item. All right, so here we go. Da, 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 da. All right. All right. So, how does Voyager make the transition less scary for new owner operators? All right. So, one, transparency on the settlement model. That is so important. Again, you're getting original rate confirmation, hands down. Um, you are actually getting a trailer, right? Without a rental. The maintenance is $50 a week, covering all the, wear and tear items on that trailer. So it becomes a worry free trailers that are 23s, 22s, and 21s. And all the preventive maintenance on that is done by an in-house mechanic, so you know that you're not getting rejected because of the trailer, you're not breaking down because of the trailer. You got top of the line equipment, and also you're getting experienced dispatchers. So that dispatch team knows how to hit. There's multiple people in that room that are all gunning for the same result, your success, because your success is our success. Here we go. It's a model that's created to win. Yeah, and then that's what happens there. So we do offer that mentorship, and that mentorship starts from the very first phone call, where we're just giving you the information of how things work. So, for example, I know I got a lot of seasoned people here. That's number one. I know I got a lot of people jumping in for the first time. But look, there's a lot of people that, don't understand that if you get on a carrier plate, it doesn't go with you. That's number one. A lot of people don't know that you can buy your own plate, and not have to have your own DOT or MC or insurance to do so. There is a way around it. Not that it's super complicated, but these details matter. Does it cost you money? Yes, it does. But giving all these detailed information on how to get set up, and there's plenty more, gives that transparency, gives you tangible, realistic problems that you're going to be solving anyway. I don't know how many other recruiters are helping guys out through that, like 2290s. Make sure you're buying it in your own name, period. Just because it deducts from your settlement does not mean it's yours. Yes, you paid for it, but that doesn't make it yours. So if get it on your own. We show our guys how. We show these guys how to get these things lined up so that it can line them up for success, right? Because the ultimate plan is the more knowledgeable the individual is, the greater chance he has for his success, because there's a risk in opening any business, whether it's trucking, a restaurant, barbershop, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be a risk to something. So you want to line it yourself up with the good people in order to make that happen. And again, like, even that, like, sometimes the guys are asking, like, is this lease to purchase good? We just say yes or no, depending on what's in front of us. We analyze it. We'll say, hey, that's way too high. That payment for this industry is just extremely astronomical. We don't think that's a good idea. And again, everybody has a different opinion. We're just giving ours based on what we have seen throughout the years, our examples of our guys being successful, of our guys not being successful. So you want to take all that into consideration as you're choosing the carrier you should run for, that whole source. All right. Safety first. Yes, for sure. You got to be able to pay attention to that. Again, guys, we talk about it all the time, how safety rolls into your PSP. We're in this together. So it's not like you're going to get put out of service and the carrier doesn't feel the pain. You're going to feel the pain. Everybody's going to feel the pain anyway. So at the end of the day, it is something that you should keep on the forefront. We explain why safety is so important, the liabilities behind it, why it ties to your insurance, how it can make you no longer actually hireable. I've seen that as well. Guys in the game for 30 years, and all of a sudden that PSP had a very bad, last in the last year had very bad inspections. So the 30 years of good driving means nothing based on that PSP. It is way too long for anybody to just overlook that. So, even guidance on that, you don't want to end up in those positions, right? Where now you're not even marketable. Edwin mentioned, yeah, not all carriers are the same. Yeah, that's for sure. Absolutely. All right. Why do some drivers see dispatch as the enemy instead of a partner? I don't want to. I think we forget how this works. We want I believe that people want the industry to be paying a certain amount of money, and just you know the person that's right on the forefront that's picking up the phone is that dispatcher. So naturally, we're going to blame this guy, right? Because he can't find what you might be looking for. But that's not necessarily what's happening. But it's the closest thing that you can manage. Because even if you're telling, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. So that's, you got to just be careful, because if you were talking to a broker directly, what would that broker do? Probably hang up. So how is that a negotiation tactic, right? What dispatcher is really looking for the heaviest and cheapest load and give me that one for my guy? How is that the best case scenario for us to get 25% of that? So that doesn't even make logical sense. So I think picking the environment in which you're in, this is again, like, this is the people business. And it's about communication, and it's about delivery of that communication, and trusting that individual that he is doing the best that he can to put that money on your truck by his actions. How did you get that first load? Are you taking low hanging fruit, or are they disciplined, like dispatchers at Voyager, where they're making 20, 30 phone calls? They're calling all of their contacts in order to see what's up. They're getting phone calls from certain contacts and brokers that are out there, and not just taking anything because they called, ensuring that it is above market value in order to get it done. Right. So I believe that that's the strategy that goes beyond that. You just, you have this mistrust from past experiences, but you got to be able to, at some point, to let that go, so that you can experience a winning outcome. Otherwise, we end up right back to this vicious cycle, as our conversation on one of the points before. Too many cooks in the kitchen, and now nothing's happening, nothing's cooking. You see what I'm saying? It just becomes this chaos, and we're confusing all this freaking movement for no progress. um, so you got to be able to be thinking of that. um, Thinking that a dispatcher takes money instead of finding it. Yeah, internally, the guys have to be on some kind of incentivized program, because a dispatcher has to have that right attitude. Go get it. Especially in this type of market. Now, what we call load planners, perhaps, is like other type of dispatching, when people are doing that customer freight and all that kind of crap. That's a different type of breed of dispatcher. A lot of, I have seen a lot of guys where think or gals that think that they can just transition very smoothly into this type of dispatching, where you're dealing with brokers and dealing and negotiating and wheeling and dealing. But that's different, because over there, you just, EDI drops, you got 100 loads, 50 drivers, 2 loads a pop, make sure no one breaks down. You're not negotiating anything really, right? Just this guy broke down, so you got, guy B to pick that up, tow to C. You're just kind of managing, massaging that type of process. This other one is a lot more. It's a lot faster. Number one, it takes street smart. It takes forward thinking. It takes a guy with tenacity. It takes a guy that is running to the fire, not running from the fire. So that type of dispatching, you got to make sure that you're looking and scouting for the right type of dispatcher that is going to move your truck in this type of market. It can't just be anybody. You're going to lose. Lack of transparency at other carriers, yeah, for sure. That does happen a lot. Guys come in with their laundry list of how they got hurt. We have our laundry list of how we got hurt. But I don't think that that's a good place to start business, right? Just kind of venting and complaining. So what it is like, hey, what are the top notch? What are your biggest goals? Boom. Let's start with that. How much of that is realistic? How much of that is not? What are you willing to do? What are we willing to do? And then we come to this. We come to this place, right? This place of moving your truck, making money week after week after week with some consistency. There will be some weeks that are better than others. Welcome to trucking. There will be breakdowns. Welcome to trucking. There will be some cancellations of loads. Welcome to trucking. But it's how we handle them that makes us good at it or not good at it. You see what I'm saying? So, guys, give us a call at 863-342-5171. We're always willing to share information for those first-time owner operators that have questions. And we are looking for seasoned guys as well. So if you're looking to improve your situation, guys, it is 863-342-5171. Hold up a second. There we go. And guys, like, share, subscribe, smash that like button. It helps the algorithm get this video in front of the right people so they can be informed about the industry and make better decisions for themselves. All right. All right. So here we go. All right, my people, that is the show for today. We will reconvene again tomorrow, 9 a.m. front and center. So please be safe, drive safe. We will talk to you soon. And again, for those guys who are looking for that great opportunity, it is 863-342-5171. Please give us a call. We're always looking for quality owner operators. All right, I got plenty of trailers available for you. Let's rock and roll. All right, my people, be safe and drive safe. And remember, we are, if you got any questions, please put them up in the comments. We will get to them and answer them. If not today, we will get to them on tomorrow's video. All right, guys, be safe, drive safe. We will talk soon.